to fix duck breasts with a pork sauce and served with a rice pilaf. And the first step of this is to make some piñones, the little pine nuts, that I'm sauteing very softly, very low heat, a little bit of butter in a pan and setting aside. That's going to go into the rice pilaf. The duck breasts come from D'Artagnan. You can probably find them other good markets. They're fresh Pekin boneless duck breasts. You can also get them frozen, sent out to you. Duck breasts, wherever you can get them. Pekin duck used to be called Long Island ducks. They're really good for this dish. We're going to score the top of the duck breasts the way we've done before. This allows the excess fat to drain out of them as you sear one side and then cook the other. Just cut on a bias, sort of like this, diagonal, and then turn it, cut again. You don't want to go completely through to the meat if you can help it. Do the same on the other. Now what we do is we sear this in a hot pan, and we put the hot pan into, in this case our oven's a convection roasting oven. It has different settings, but you can just put it into a regular oven. It'll take a little bit longer is all. What we'll do is put some kosher salt and cracked pepper on that. They can sit for a couple of hours like that if you want. They don't need to sit too much longer though. They don't even need to sit that long. In the meantime, we're going to prepare a rice pilaf. To do that, we first start by sauteing a small piece of shallot in some olive oil. Then we add the rice, and then we add some chicken stock. We sauteed the shallot in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, then put the rice in and coated the kernels with the olive oil, the flavored olive oil. Now is the flavor of the shallot, of course, and then added 2 cups of chicken stock. Now we're going to bring that to a boil and reduce, and allow it, of course, to absorb all the liquid. After you have it to a boil, reduce the heat. On this stove, that's to a 2. I have no idea. On yours, it's low, probably, or whatever you had. And then do that for about 15 minutes or so until it's absorbed. Then put the lid, if you leave the lid on and just let it sit on almost the heat off. We'll fluff it and add the pine nuts near the end. They don't need to cook in chicken stock. So now we've taken 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of flour, heaping tablespoons actually. And we're going to just stir that around, making a roux. Then we're going to add a cup to start with of chicken stock. Then we'll add some veal, the demi-glace, the veal demi-glace. And then we'll finish with some port. And we may need more chicken stock. We'll just see how everything goes together. We probably will. This will form the base. This will be the sauce that we put on the breasts after they're once cooked. This is a very tasty dish. I think I've served it many times. The duck breasts along with the rice pilaf and the pine nuts create interesting taste variances, and the port has a nutty taste to it, so it sort of enhances the flavor of the pine nuts. Duck breasts are, I think, one of the most delicious things you can get. You can probably find them in your local market of some sort. The problem is always, usually they aren't fresh, but that isn't absolutely necessary. There's so much fat in the duck breast that it will keep it from drying out. But you don't want something that's been sitting in their freezer for a year. Also, it's just a matter of the quality of what they're getting. A lot of small butchers who cater to a better clientele will have them, like here in town. Dickman's has some duck breasts also. But I have shipments sent in from the East Coast periodically. It's no more expensive for me to have them sent in here than to pay Dickman's their retail price. So it's just a matter of what you can get. If you can't get duck breasts, then roast a whole duck and then cut off the breast, I guess. We added a cup and a half of the chicken stock and 2 tablespoons of the veal demi-glace. I've shown you that label before, but here it is again. It's from Williams-Sonoma. As I've said, you can make your own. I'll give you some directions later how to do that. If you want to spend a day at least doing it, fine. We've added 2 tablespoons of Whiskers Blake Classic Tawny Port. I'm adding a 1/3. So what should it taste like? Well, it has a slightly nutty flavor and should taste a little bit, not a lot, like port. Now there are 2 schools about how sausage should taste with alcohol. Some believe should this flavor the sausage, shouldn't taste the alcohol. Others believe it should be redolent with the flavor of the alcohol itself, slightly anyway. I'm of that school. So this one tastes just slightly of a tawny port. Turn it way down. Just going to let it sit now. Okay, I'm putting it back on a warming burner. The rice has been cooking for about 15 minutes on a low heat. It's nearly there. We're turning it down to the lowest possible setting. So all we have left now is to sear the duck breast, pop them in the oven for a few minutes. We eat them medium rare. You can cook them longer if you want. And I'm going to serve some snow peas on the side, so we'll boil them. Okay, we're heating a skillet until it's almost smoking. A thin layer of olive oil, just so that the duck breasts won't stick. And as soon as it seems pretty hot, we'll put them on and sear that side, and then turn them over to the other side and roast them in the oven until they're done. How long does that take? Well, depends on the temperature of the duck breast to start with, how large they are, how hot the oven is. I've got mine at 350 convection roast. 5 to 10 minutes. Use a instant read thermometer to know. 130 is where I pull it out. It's still going to continue to cook, probably up to 140 or so at that point. Still be medium rare. You can see there'll be sort of a wavy pattern of the oil on top of the skillet. It means it's hot. It was on the highest heat. I moved it down to a 9. I want them to cook, not just get black or anything. So I'm going to leave them that way for a few minutes. I use a very thin spatula to check on them, see how they're doing as far as color goes. By doing this, you not only give them good color and flavor, but you also remove the excess fat from the breast itself, the fat that's on top of the breast. I mean, that's very tasty, but you don't need to eat all of it. Okay, these have been cooking about 3 or 4 minutes. Take a quick look. Very nice. Nice and tan looking, not black, of course, that would have to be good. Nicely seared. I'm going to pop this, as I said, into a 350 convection oven. You might want to do 375 with a regular oven.